our goal isn't really necessarily to be just a craft distributor. We kind of want to be the craft distributor. There's some great players in this game, especially in Colorado. I mean, we're kind of the mecca for craft beer.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we will be discussing the struggles and lessons learned along the journey of a seven figure entrepreneur. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, Lynx Hawthorne, with Best Craft and Grimm Brothers. Lynx, welcome to the call.
Hey guys, happy to be here.
We're excited to learn a little bit more about you and your business. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Lynx, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, please share with us your story. Where did you start from? Where have you gotten to? And maybe share a few key lessons learned along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, so been in the industry about 5 years. So doing beer sales for a company that was located here in Colorado. Um, Probably did about 3 years there. Climbed the ladder, ran a sales team. Got to a place with just doing self distro with that company that kind of was at a point that I wanted to start distributing some other brands. Um, After that, me and one of the owners there, with them having a BP license at that brewery, they weren't allowed to like open up a distro side. So me and my now business partner kind of discussed like best opportunity to actually open up a distro. From there, we saw one of the brands in town kind of going through some form of struggle. A lot of their beers were leaving the shelf. They were a very well known brand in Colorado. Don't quote me, but I think it was like it's a top 25 brand in the nation
Oh, wow.
with awards. So like GABF, I think that one of their beers has won two golds, maybe a silver, and then another one of their beers have won a gold and a silver. They have about, I think, 15 to 20 total medals from GABF and World Beer Cup. Um, so, kind of at a point of like, okay, so what's going on with this company? I actually knew them pretty well, reached out to one of their owners. They were in some pretty bad trouble. I mean, without, I guess, disclosing too much there. So we started raising some money, meeting some investors, and then we actually finally found the right team, which is, actually located at where our new location is. Um, they weren't, just money. They were also resources and kind of went in as like a partnership. So
Nice.
we acquired Grimm Brothers, not this May, but the May before. Then opened up the distro side of it because they did not have a BP license, which is a brew pub license. So we have been up and operating for about a year and a half now. Grimm Brothers, we ended up moving locations to what is now here in Loveland, which was an old HP building. So it's about 816,000 square feet.
Nice.
Um, Mostly tech and manufacturing, but like I said, the team that is a partner with us actually owns the whole building, and they always wanted a brewery here. So, legally speaking, square footage for our liquor license, I think we're actually the biggest liquor license in Colorado.
Wow.
I don't know if it's 816,000 square feet, but it's somewhere in that neck of the woods. So, but the distro side, once we acquired Grimm, we it took about 6 to 7 months to do a full rebrand with some of their cans and adding additional SKUs to those.
Right.
But initially, we started off with just two brands all the way from May till about January, and then we added Brewery X, which is one of the biggest in LA. We've added a big one out of Texas. We have about, I think, 10 total brands, but our number one seller right now is Grimm, mostly because they'd been around for about 13 years. Like I said, won a ton of awards. Kind of looking into other states right now for distro. Um, Really, just because Grimm Brothers is based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tales. So We have like a Little Red Cap, which is Little Red Riding Hood. That's probably their most awarded. There's Snowdrop, which is based on Snow White. Every one of our cans has like a story along with it and a QR code on the back where you can actually read a funnier summary of that story. So it's catching on. It actually, I think we did not project correctly because production was a little bit of an issue early on because we just kept running out of beers. So now we're contract brewing with about three different places just to kind of keep up with Colorado. And as I was saying, looking into other states right now because we've actually been approached by 4 to 5 different distributors from 4 or 5 different states. So
Nice.
um, yeah, we're doing something right. But as for like the distro side, looking at some M&A type stuff, and our goal isn't really necessarily to be just a craft distributor. We kind of want to be the craft distributor.
There you go.
Um, there's some great players in this game, especially in Colorado. I mean, we're kind of the mecca for craft beer. Uh, I would say that in our realm, there's 2 or 3 really big players that I mean they're doing awesome stuff, and like I said, don't really want to compete too much. Just want to maybe talk to investors and find out what their number is and take it over. So
There you go.
that's really, like I said, we're extremely fortunate to have investors that are also partners. They don't know anything about beer. They're learning a ton. But with me and I guess my business partner from the other brewery, he has about 12 years of experience in the industry, and I got 5. So we've pretty much seen all the ups and downs, and really just trying to figure out what the next down is and figure out what the next up is and kind of get in front of them. So,
There you go. So, tell us a little bit about you and why you decided, hey, I want to own my own business. I want to go out and I want to do my own thing.
oh man. So I guess quick background. So I'm actually born and raised in Texas. Um, played college football at Baylor. Met my wife, moved to Houston. She had her family up here. Um, we could have stayed in Houston and starved, or moved up here and used some family help. So we moved up here about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Initially, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Had basically been doing sales my whole life. But you leave Texas where you have friends and family and connections, and coming up
Right.
here and just kind of a little bare naked. But it makes you figure things out pretty quick. So
Oh yeah.
um, I think initially I got into documentary filmmaking with a company, was working on a beer project actually with that documentary film company that I had kind of came up with a concept, and I don't have an hour to tell that whole story, but
All right. All right.
yeah, so that is actually what introduced me to all the different breweries in Loveland where like the pilot episode was going to be. So I got to know all owners and some of their stories. COVID hit, mask mandates. We had a festival set up. Second mask mandate happened. Finally, the brewery up here in Loveland that I actually ended up doing sales for was like, dude, we know you're starving. Like, there's no
Right.
way you're making money doing this. Do you want to just jump on and see if you can help? And that's basically what got me into the industry. Uh, it's really with beer sales, it's just high volume
Right.
and pounding the pavement, 6 days a week. So um, all that to say is, yeah, I ended up running a team there. And then, like I previously mentioned, was just kind of felt other opportunities out there that rather than just building this one brand, I'd love to build 10 other brands.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what got me to where I'm at right now.
Cool. Very cool. So, with your current team, what does that look like? How many people do you have? Kind of lay that
Ooh.
out for us.
Well, so it's technically five companies. So there's Grimm Brewing, and then we bought another brewery called Crow Hop. After we started Best Craft, we bought a logistics company, and then we actually run the kitchen and tap room, which is a separate LLC and kind of its own umbrella. But so with all five of those, it's probably about 60 to 70 employees.
Nice.
With Best Craft, we're kind of in the middle of like I said, with some M&A stuff, pretty aggressive growth, but we probably have 8 or 10 reps right now. Some guys are just contractors that for the mountains and stuff that aren't necessarily just selling our stuff; they're selling other brands. And but as for the actual team itself, it's about five of us.
Gotcha.
So
Uh, do you have an established like leadership team that works directly with you as you're starting to think ahead of yourself and strategize for the future and as you
yeah,
see yourself
we're
growing?
building out somewhat of a C-suite
Okay.
where just owner and president has kind of been my title. My business partner, he's moving more towards a CEO role ish. Um, as for like the restaurant, the logistics, and some of like the production stuff. So with like the distro side, I'm probably the CEO, but at the same time, like we're not necessarily where I think we need a CEO just yet.
Right.
We work together on all five of the businesses, pretty much hand in hand, but uh, just really trying to like clear up lanes is where I think 5 to 6 months ago we're like, okay, like I don't need to be in the restaurant. I don't know anything about restaurants. He has ran restaurants, so it's like, all right, so you got your team and your GM, and kind of work that stuff. And for the distro side, it's like I pretty much am the lead on that, where we do have a manager now that is managing some of the reps under him. But at the end of the day, I think in the next year to 2 years, if this continues to grow the way it is, then we'll probably need like an actual, CMO, COO, CEO,
Right. Right.
CFO. But right now, we're just kind of yeah, I mean, like we're just wearing a ton of hats. So
So like almost
figuring
all
out.
small business owners.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that is, I will say, always wanting to be an entrepreneur and, be an owner until you are one and you're like, what the hell are we doing? Like,
Right.
it's great. But at the same time, like, you run out of time every day where it's like, okay, so I need about 10 days a week. But I mean, work doesn't stop. And as for like me and him, just to, I guess, share, I'm 32. He's 32. We're young, dumb, and aggressive, and sometimes that can, like this was our. We don't have it in this office. We had it in our old office. Just a big sign that said "chew or choke" because
There you go.
we're gonna bite off more than we can chew most of the time. So we ain't choked yet. We've gotten pretty close, but at the same time, that's what we wanted to do, and we have all the backing in the world, so we're in a good place.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Lynx, thanks so much for taking the time to share with us your story. I love, you know, the intentionality around. Hey, we were to that point where we're either gonna feed ourselves or we were gonna starve. So we moved
Yeah.
to Colorado. We moved from Texas, and then it was, hey, because of the opportunities that kind of happened for me along the way. That's kind of what set me up to be in this position where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and we're gonna buy this place and we're gonna try to create something and
Hmm.
and now look at you, you've got five different businesses, so to speak, that you're working on, and
Hmm.
awesome journey. So thanks so much for sharing that. That's fantastic. So let's shift gears just a little bit, and let's have just like an open-ended conversation. So as you continue to grow, you know as a leader within the company and as you're building and developing your team, what's something that you're dealing with real time right now that we can have a conversation about?
Oh my gosh. Well, real time is funny enough. Yeah. So we had a meeting this morning. So we meet. basically 7:30 Tuesdays. Uh, Shifted it quickly to where we're sitting with the board, sometimes two times a week. Production right now is kind of one of our biggest, I would say, hurdles. Trying to get that case cost a little bit lower, to where there's more money in it for us to actually ship it to
Right.
different states. So we're actually in the middle right now of building up one of the production breweries that we're at, where we'll probably sell some of our fermenters out of our actual brewery that is the Grimm Brothers brewery. Maybe sublease that place to another one of our brands that we carry that needs the tap room. Outside of that, like really aiming for like that $22 case, where we're sitting around like 24 or 25 right now. There's just not enough meat on that bone. Especially German style beers are not cheap to make. I do think we're getting a killer deal, but landing somewhere around, instead of 24, 25, getting somewhere around 21, 22 would probably be the more ideal situation. And then as soon as that lease is completely up, we'll build a pretty big brew house over here in the HP building that we're at, or maybe offsite or something. We're not super sure, but that's about 1.5 to $2 million to get all the bells and whistles. But
Right.
instead, for the time being, that's I'd say in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we need to get that dialed in pretty quick, because as I was saying, like getting out of state, I mean, there's shipping cost. There's also possibilities of buybacks and stuff like that, where they take a semi of it to, let's just, for instance, Wyoming or whatever. Um, they don't sell it all in a contract. It clearly states either like you're swapping it or you're buying it back. So making sure that we have good representation in whatever state we go to, whether that's another rep that we hire that just lives out there and kind of helps that distro company, um, you know, kind of get up and going, make sure that that beer is a focus. Um, and it could also be somewhere in the next 2 to 3 years, if we can really just get up and profitable in Colorado, that we just take best craft out of state. But we've had really good months of
Mhm.
profitability, but uh, 1 month is not a trend. So
Right.
it's been a month here, 2 months not, month here, 2 months not. So it's like, if we can get to where we're around 3 to 4 to 5 months of profitability, then we can kind of start looking into actually getting best craft into some other states. But really needing to just own the market in Colorado before we go off and do stuff like that is kind of the situation that we're at.
So I'm just going to recap with you to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So it sounds like you'd mentioned earlier, man, I just don't have enough days in the week. I need like 10 days and I only have 7, right?
Yeah.
So you're going a million miles an hour. You're spread thin. Your bandwidth is spent. You've got a
Hmm.
lot of things going on in a lot of different directions.
Hmm.
What are you doing right now to help you mitigate that? To intentionally set aside the right time needed for each of your top priorities, and
Yeah.
how are you determining, okay, what are the top priorities, and then what are the things that I'm going to intentionally say, you know what, today I know I need to work on this, but I'm going to choose not to because these other things take priority. What's happening? Share with me a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
It's so I got two kids. One of them wakes up. He's 6 months, so every 3 hours. I basically start my day around 3:30 to 4. Um, as I mentioned, like being an old football player, we typically were up early working out most days, and you can quickly put on lbs, especially if you're running a brewery. So yeah, I mean, reading books, Atomic Habits right now we're going through, and it's like basically getting that moment after a workout and before a shower of like meditation, and actually sitting there in pure silence, which is the only time I get pure silence.
There you go.
And then from there, like really taking a moment to breathe. And then as soon as I'm done with my little 5 minute meditation, I will jump directly into a to-do list of what is today. Um, from there, I typically will put it somewhere that's visible, whether it's our whiteboard here or whether it's a little list in my pocket, and just knock things off that list. So that is, I would go as far as saying like that right now has been, because there was like I said, being in this a year and a half, there was about a year and 2 months worth of I did not get anything done I needed to get done.
Gotcha.
Instead, this fire started, I had to put out. This fire started, I had to put out. I'm typically on the phone with all of my reps. Most of the suppliers I'm on the phone with. So on that side of things, it is like if I am still getting drug away, okay, I need this 30-minute, and I'd like to call it like that bunker hour, which was from another book, where I got my beer right here. Um, I got a snack. Snack is gone, but
Already
like
past the snack time.
snack is gone. And then like just staring at this list is okay. What are the three things on this five, sometimes 10,
Right.
this five like piece of paper that has five to dos? What are the three things I can knock out right now? And I'd say that that has been probably the best thing for me so far. There's been days that I literally will leave and knocked four things off that list and had three things that I did not get to. Got drug away to soccer practice or whatever it might have
Right.
been. Um, but at the same time, those are the first three things I'm doing tomorrow morning. 10 days would help because then I can probably shorten these lists a little bit. But
They're
working
just
with
going
what
to
I
get
got,
longer. You have extra days. Those lists are just going to get longer.
yeah. So if yeah, I think so far that has been, seeing progress. I mean, everything in this industry is like, it's easy to kind of look back, be like, wow, look at where we are now.
Yeah.
In the right here, right now, it's like, how do I move the needle to where in 3 months I could look back and be like, oh, I saw that movement. And it's constant. So, really, yeah, building out my own to-do lists, trying to get some more brands. Definitely actively looking for brands in Colorado. And we're at that stage now where every brand almost that we've built from the ground up. Or maybe they were self distro, or maybe weren't in the market in Denver or Boulder or whatever. Getting an established brand would be a dream scenario, because the building of a brand is what we signed up to do, and we love doing that.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, like, yeah, you can get it on shelves, but if consumers don't buy it, then like, we not saying we need a shift right now, but we're at that point of like, okay, so we need some established brands that, this customer sometimes blindly will pick one of our brands, don't know who they are, but the dream scenario is that we have someone that like in that neighborhood liquor store, they're going there weekly and pick up this six pack. Um, that would be a kind of next step, ideally.
Awesome. No, I love your intentionality around saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take the time, and I'm gonna be intentional to say, nope, I need that moment of clarity each and every single morning. Because I
Mhm.
think too often in small businesses, the business owners, they get so wound up in this. I got to put this fire out. I got to put this fire out. I got this thing
Mhm.
pending. I got to, they don't take the time to sit down and reflect what it is that I have to get done, and then now I can be intentional about each and every step that I'm going to do for the rest of the day because I took that moment.
Yeah.
It's that those small moments that we gain that clarity and that
Mhm.
alignment. Because, like you said, without that, then you feel like you're going a million different directions, but you're not
Mhm.
actually accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
But if you can get that clarity and alignment so that you're moving towards something, man, then that energy that you're using is being used appropriately, and you start to
Mhm.
see things getting done. And I joke around with you when I say, yeah, but if you had 10 days, your list would just keep getting longer and longer.
Oh, for sure.
Unfortunately, as human beings, we do that, right?
Mhm.
As soon as we have that extra time, man, we fill it up super fast.
Yeah.
The trick is in business is we have to be intentional and say, look, I have to get to a point where I'm comfortable saying a positive yes to this
Mhm.
thing, and an intentional no to this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do, and especially when we're first starting out, man. That first year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the industry, you know, you're just doing anything and everything you can because you're just like, I got to make this work. I've got to find a way to make it sustainable and
Mhm.
repeatable, and I've just got to take every opportunity. And so then we inadvertently become this yes man, right? And we're just
Yeah.
like yes, 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 yes to everything.
Mhm.
But ideally, if we want to be able to continue to see the growth that we want, and we want to be able to make sure that it is sustainable, we have to get to a point where we can say, okay, yes to this and no to that.
Yeah.
And we
Absolutely.
have to shift in our mind, right? We have to have
Mhm.
this mind shift where we say, you know what, I'm okay with that
Yeah.
because I know that these things I'm saying yes to, those are the things that that matter the most, and those are the things that are going to help me continue to see that movement
Mhm.
forward that I want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's, it's like that bunker hour basically of like, if I go up to the restaurant, someone is going to pull me aside.
Yep.
Hey, this is going on. If I go, this is 3 levels here. So I'm actually in the right next to our distro cooler, um, where I hide, like, because if I go out, someone is going to pull me aside. Hey, we
Yep.
got a garage door coming in. When is a good time to blow a hole in this wall? What time do y'all open? Well, we have a coffee shop that opens at 5 o'clock. So I don't know if you'll ever have time to actually blow a hole unless you want to do it at midnight, because the bar stays open sometimes till midnight. But at the same time, it's like things like that. If I don't even have an answer for, I'm going to keep getting asked that question until it's like, how about this? I will absolutely hand this off to someone else. Um,
Right.
but even then, it's the I mean, I can't even tell you this week like what all I got pulled aside for. But at the same time, like I know where to hide and I know where to get work done, and that's typically down here. So, like I said, I had some reps here today. I was like, hey, just give me an hour real quick because yes, we will go fill you up with samples. We'll go through some of the new brands we just got. But like, I need an hour because like I just knocked out 3 things before this call, and I feel great about them. But it is, yeah, you have to be mindful of like what was the things I even needed to do, because it's so
Yeah.
easy that you just show up to work, you do 10 to 12 hours every day, and in those 10 to 12 hours, yeah, you realize like I just ran in place
Yep.
for an entire day and got nowhere. So
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
feels like you're running, but you ain't going anywhere.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Well, awesome. Thanks again so much for taking the time to join us on the podcast today. Hey, for those of you who are listening in, if you want to find out more about Lynx and what he's doing there at Best Craft and Grimm Brothers, Lynx, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and your company?
My 20-year-old self would punch me in the face if I said the word email, but probably email. Um, I think outside of that, I mean, if you're located in Colorado, go to the liquor store, buy some Grimm Brothers beer. If you like it, then shoot me an email. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, phone calls. My wife owns my phone, so I don't really get back to text messages until like Sunday, where I actually sit there and go through them. But uh, email probably right now is the easiest way to reach out,
All
or
right,
come
and
up
then
here and see us.
what email do you want them to reach out to you at?
That would probably be linksghawthorne@gmail.com. That's right now probably the easiest way to do it.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. For those of you who are listening in on today's episode, if you heard something and you're like, ooh, I need to do that, make sure that you take the step necessary to take action on that, because it's not until we actually act on something that we're going to see if we're going to get the results that we want. So I would encourage you highly, take action today. You're not going to regret it, whether it works or it doesn't work. You're going to learn from the experience, and you're going to continue to grow and see the growth that you want. For those of you who saw something today, you're like, "Ooh, I know somebody who would really like hearing what they had to say today. Let's go ahead and share this podcast. Let's create as much value as we can and spread it as far as we can. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, we've loved having you on the show today, Lynx. And for those of you who are following, thank you for following. We're just so glad that you're here, and we hope that you're having the best success that you can in your businesses going forward. Until next show, until next time, take care.